Família. Welcome to the Kungalige Anarchy, the one-layer nation that employ on the unresident of the earth.
Today's guest is someone who carries the kind of old school grace this world doesn't always celebrate enough. He's a decorated veteran, an award winning author, a mentor, and one of the most respected voices in the DKLA Família, my beautiful guest. And I have to share this. He's also the first guest who ever called me hostess. Not female host, not a label. A simple, elegant word that reminded me how being treated like a lady isn't old fashioned, it's timeless. To my younger guests, chivalry isn't dead, it's just quiet in this noisy world. Please join me welcoming the incomparable Tank Gunner, a man whose stories are as rich as his kindness. Tank, it's a profound honor to have you here. You've stood for courage in war, for resilience in life, and for grace in every word you share. You remind us that true strength isn't loud, it's steady. Welcome, dear guest, and thank you for bringing both wisdom and warmth to this conversation. Today, we dive into two deeply resonant themes. Happiness is one snip away, plus peacemakers and peacebreakers, from the literal snips that change a life to the invisible threads we cut or mend when we choose peace over conflict. Tank's reflections offer a blueprint for living with purpose yourself.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of your podcast. I hope I can entertain you and your audience.
Well, thank you very much. And where can we find you online?
My blog is tankgunnerbookshelf.blogspot.com, and that's where my books are, and my email address is on that blog. I have another blog that is War Stories of an Armed Savage.blogspot.com, and a different email address is there on the War Stories. So I have two email addresses that are available to you and to your audience. I'd be happy to hear from anyone.
I'll be glad to share with my listeners in the description of this episode. And now let's jump to the first part. So let's talk about your themes in writing. Under the pen name Tank Gunner, you've published 9 books since you're at age 76. Could you tell us about the themes or messages that you aim to convey through your books?
The way it started was my son found operational reports I had written in 1969 in Vietnam, 40 years later, on the Texas Tech Vietnam Center and Archive. 40 years later, I looked at the entries that I had written, and I knew the rest of the story. So I began elaborating and clarifying and correcting, and the university asked me to participate in their oral history project. And they sent 108 questions for me to prepare, and I did. I answered all the questions, and then I asked the university if I could post their questionnaire with my answers, and they said no. Their questionnaire was proprietary. So I had all these answers, had all the clarifications and elaborations of the daily entries of the reports. I didn't know what to do with them. I call them war stories. And so I enrolled in a creative writing class, and I brought some of my stories to class, about third session. And my instructor said they read like reports, not like stories. And my instructor said, stick with me and I'll help you learn how to write stories. And so I did, and he gave prompts to write stories. And so I began using his prompts and my war stories to create fictional stories. And I had enough. About the first year, I had 60 stories I didn't know what to do with. And he said, why don't you put your stories on a blog? And so I did. I created War Stories of an Armed Savage, and there are 100 stories and 350 pictures, images, and graphics on war stories. But with the 60 fictional stories, I didn't know what to do with those. And one of my classmates said, write a book, put them in a book. And so I did. And the first book is Prompts, a collection of stories. And that's how the writing of my books began. And I published the first one at age 76.
It's so inspiring. It's so inspiring to me. Well, I'm a blogger, and I'm still not courageous to start writing a book. And when I see the age you started writing a book, I just think, the age to start publishing is when you feel ready. There is no time, a certain time to start blogging and write.
That's right. And your audience should consider that, because many in your audience have stories to tell, and whether they're 20 or 30 or 50 or 70 years old, they need to write their stories, not only for themselves and their friends, but for family too. And so I encourage everyone, teens to seniors, to tell their stories, put them in writing. And if someone is interested, they can send an email to me and maybe visit my writing group to see if they would be interested in going along with writing, and that would help them create their stories.
Absolutely. I think the listeners will be more than welcome to join the group and start blogging or writing a book. Who knows?
Yes. At least, yes.
I would ask about compiling war stories of an armed savage. Your monumental work, War Stories of an Armed Savage, include 200 nonfiction stories and 350 pictures, images, and graphics. You mentioned. What was the process like for you to compile these stories, and how did you decide which ones to include?
The decision was sort of play it by ear. As I mentioned, I brought 7 stories to my third session of class, and my instructor said, stick with me and I'll help you write fiction stories from your war stories. Many of my characters in nonfiction stories are real people, and so I based some of their characteristics and their personality in my fictional characters. And so I began writing a story, for example, in Prompts. The story title is Deadeye. And Deadeye is based on what I did in a helicopter with a pistol in Vietnam, but I made it fiction. And so that's how the transition from the real thing to the fictional thing occurred. And I began to practice the craft of creating stories to entertain my readers.
Amazing. Well, I'm a kind of intimistic blogger. I mean, I like to write about life issues, and this podcast is about life issues too. I always say to my guests, I lend an ear, and I like to hear some stories. These stories inspire me a lot to do many blog posts and create many things. But yeah, I think it's not so easy for people like you and probably me to transition from the non-fiction world, sometimes the witnessing eye, to the fictional world, to create some stories. It must be a challenge.
The challenge is part of the fun to do it. One story that I wrote that is in Prompts, the title is Curtis Lee. That's the title of the story, Goodbye. And the prompt is to write a story about something we know nothing about. And so the story, Goodbye, Curtis Lee, is a story about sex change. I know nothing about sex change, but I used the image I have of a man whose name is Curtis Lee wanting to go through a sex change. Curtis Lee weighs about 350 pounds. He's a really, really, really big guy. And so I created a fictional story about writing about something I know nothing about, which is sex change, and it's Goodbye, Curtis Lee.
We must pass through such challenging moments, especially when we create, because I'm not only a writer, I'm also an illustrator. As we can see on my background, these are all my art, my drawings, and it's also a challenging path, but I love what I do.
But you have imagination and you have creativity. And we all have that. Everyone has imagination and creativity. It's just a matter of sitting down and beginning to write or to paint or to design graphics. It's just a matter of sitting down and starting. And writers start with one word. And then one word goes into a sentence. And then one sentence goes into three. And 3 or 4 sentences are a paragraph. And then a page has 3 or 4 paragraphs, or maybe just one. And that's how writers get started, with one.
So now let's change a little bit the subject about your distinguished military career. With a distinguished military career spanning 27 years, could you share one of the most pivotal moments you experienced as a combat soldier that has stayed with you over the years?
Yes. In the blog, for stories of an armed savage, there are 2 specific dates, September 13, 1969, and September 14, 1969. And those 2 dates combined resulted in a big battle that my cavalry troop was involved in, and Sergeant Donald Sidney Schedule was killed in action, and I wrote his citation for the Medal of Honor, which is the highest decoration in the United States Army a soldier can be awarded. Sergeant Schedule was very brave and did heroic actions during the fight, and he prevented a lot of other soldiers being injured or killed. And so that action and his heroic bravery has stuck with me these 60 years.
That's a great story. And I would say this date is a bit special to me because my birthday is September 28th. So September 30, 2 days after my birthday.
So you will be able to easily remember September 13th and September 14th on the blog.
Yeah.
And when you have time, I would like for you to read those 2 stories about Sergeant Schedule.
It's on my list. I have many writers on this podcast and the list is long. So it would be a pleasure to read all your materials. I love reading, so it won't be a sacrifice to me. It's a great exercise. So let's talk about rediscovering combat reports. The discovery of your combat operational reports by your son in 2009 sparked your journey into writing. Can you describe the emotions and thoughts you had when revisiting those reports after so many years?
Was amazement. I was amazed that my documents were still in existence after 40 plus years. The Vietnam Center and Archive at Texas Tech University has volumes and volumes and volumes of historical documents and artifacts of the Vietnam War. And the Helicopter Pilots Association had donated these 4 reports to the center. And my son happened to be searching the internet for stories about Vietnam, and he came across the center's archive. And he searched my cavalry troop, which was Delta Troop, 1st of the 9th Cavalry, 1st Cavalry Division. And there he found the reports. And he sent me an email telling me that he had found these reports and had copied them and attached them to the email. And I was amazed. I was astonished. I was surprised. And I was happy. I was happy to see that our history remained.
This is great. To be amazed, astonished, surprised, and happy. I think you were feeling great when you had to revisit these stories. Now, I would ask you about the memorable interactions at book signings. You've done hundreds of book signings, including at Barnes and Noble. Do you have any memorable interactions from these signings that stand out to you?
I do. In the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, there is a company called Half Price Books. And Half Price Books, I think, has websites internationally. And so many people in different countries can access Half Price Books and find the books they're looking for, used books. And when I began the book signing, I started with Half Price Books at one store. And I think in 2019 and 2020 and 2021, I did 100 book signings each year in 18 of the half-price bookstores. And one of the most memorable occasions I can remember is a dad coming to the table and wanting me to sign a book for his son. His son was killed in action in Iraq, but he wanted his son to be part of his life. And so his name is Terry Burgess, and I signed a book for Staff Sergeant Terry Burgess for his dad. And we had our picture made, and I think I put the picture on the blog. But that is a memorable occasion for the book signing for me, that a dad wanted a book signed for his son.
It's a beautiful story, especially involving family. It's really touchy to sign these kinds of book, I guess. Well, and now let's talk about the influence of the combat experiences. Looking back on your journey from a combat soldier to an almost famous award-winning author, how do you think your experiences in combat have shaped your voice and stories as an author?
I think it shaped my voice as the truth. The way I write stories is based on real characters. It's based on real life. And most of my books are about love stories, not romance, but how human beings love each other, or they don't. But that's the experience that I had with my cavalry troop soldiers in combat. They were not just a unit, they were family. And I think I write stories more about love and families than I do about any kind of theme.
I need to ask you, who is your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration probably is James Jones, Hemingway, and Steinbeck for writing. My biggest inspiration in life is my wife and our son.
This is the answer I always hear. Well, I can't deny family is everything, is our basis. I always think of something I heard from a theater teacher. She told me, imagine yourself as a tree, and each branch is someone you know, you knew during your life, and your family is part of this branch. You will always carry your family wherever you go. So I always take these words in mind. And my biggest inspiration certainly is my great grandmother. She passed away when I was 15 years old, but she inspired me to do many things. She was a teacher and she was a wise woman, and she always taught me to get this curiosity flame alive and keep reading and studying. So I owe everything to her.
That's special. That is special that you have that memory.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the first theme. Happiness is one snip away. How have you found happiness and contentment in your life, especially after such a long and varied career?
When I retired from military service, I rode a motorcycle for a while, but I believe I wanted to be with my family as much as I could. And so I tried to do that. And part of my experience, I think, I wanted to translate to the paper. I wanted to write stories. And so I began doing that too, as we've discussed. But it's kind of hard to describe once you leave a career, and the military was my career. I did go to work for an international petroleum corporation called Caltex. And Caltex was a great international company. And my wife and I and our sons were able to visit me in Nairobi, Kenya, and go on safari. And I thought that was quite special to be in Africa. And that was where my job was for a couple of years. But family is important.
I agree. Family is important. We can make a turn around the world, and yeah, if we have someone to count on and share our happiest or not so happy moments, it's really special.
And most of my stories, my books, are about family. There's always a family involved. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Families and families are everything. And every time I think about my family, especially my nearest family members, I mean, my parents, my sister, that's how I feel. I feel grounded. I feel beloved by them. And of course, they are the people I love the most in this world.
Yes. They are the most important people in your life. Yes.
Yeah.
Always.
Always. So the theme happiness again about this theme, happiness is one step away. To me, this expression is quite intriguing, and I want to know, what does this phrase mean to you?
Say it again, please.
Happiness is one snip away.
Yes. Happiness. Is that your question? Happiness?
Yes.
What? I'm happy almost all the time. I'm not ecstatic, but I'm happy. We all face difficult times, and I try to handle difficult times as the best I can, the best I know how. But I am happy with my wife. I'm happy with our sons. And I'm happy with our little dog, Cody. He is 5 years old, and he is the most intelligent little dog that we've ever owned, and he's the most affectionate. And he brings happiness to my wife and I just by being with us. He loves us, and we love him. And so animals can bring a lot of happiness to individuals and to families. Yeah.
I think so. I had a little dog. Well, she died only a few years ago, 2 years ago, to be honest.
Sorry.
Thanks. And
it's terrible to lose a pet. It's heartbreaking.
Absolutely. It was really, we were really sad when she passed away, but what to do? but we had great moments with her. She was really active and smart. She was a really smart dog. So when people say animals bring happiness to our life, to our house.
And we bring happiness to our animals as well.
Oh, yeah.
They
So
are safe. They are safe with us. And I've heard the expression forever home. And I believe that, especially for dogs and cats, that they're in a forever home. They're safe.
Yeah. They are forever home. I always have great memories of her, of this dog, and I had two other dogs too. They were a bit bigger, so they can't stay at the apartment, but they always bring happiness. Let's talk about the next theme: peacemakers and peacebreakers. You've experienced both the harsh realities of war and the peace of civilian life. Can you share your thoughts on what makes a true peacemaker?
What makes a peacemaker?
Yeah, a true peacemaker. Well, you have this experience in the harsh realities of war and this piece of the writer life as an author. What do you think? What makes a true peacemaker? I'm not talking about political stuff, more about life.
I think patience. Patience makes, I believe patience is one of the keys that I practice. Sometimes I'm not patient, but it takes practice to do that, and it takes patience to be patient. Yeah, I get frustrated sometimes, and particularly in the States, we have a lot of automation on the telephone. We don't talk with real people anymore until we finally get through all of the automation and the real person comes on the line. And so the patience needed to go through press 1, press 2, press 5 to get to the real person takes a lot of patience. And in life, I believe being tolerant and patient of others is a key to success, is a key to a good relationship.
I agree. Well, I need to share a behind the scenes story. I have some guests who are not so responsive, and I was really patient last week, but I wanted to be polite and kind to them. I always treat people with kindness. And
Well, you know what I'm talking about then when you have to practice patience and you don't want to. Yeah, I understand.
So before writing the answers, I had to walk a little and go to my favorite place on the whole universe, the coffee shop. So when I sit down there and drink some coffee and eat some cake, everything seems so much better. Okay, let's go to the next question. What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced in transitioning from a military life to a peacemaker in your personal and professional life? I mean, as a writer.
I think the carryover was discipline. In the military, we had to follow discipline and protocol and procedures. And whenever I made the transition from the military to a civilian job at Caltech, I brought that discipline and organization to my new job. And I have to tell you that I found people in the company that was frustrating for me because they were not organized. They would get on a mission and the mission was chaotic. And so they weren't organized. And I had to practice patience with them to get them organized back to it. So I think those two, discipline and organization, were key in the transition for me.
I know what you are saying. My father and his family are all military, and it is a very disciplined world. We must follow many protocols. In my case, I didn't follow their career because I'm very creative and I like the scales of art. But yeah, I know how they must follow many rules and procedures.
Well, the transition also for the writers have to have discipline to sit and time to write. And they have to be organized to have procedures to go through to accomplish the project. Whether the project is just a story, whether the project is just writing a scene, or whether the project is writing a complete book. I think discipline and organization are key to getting it done.
I would say that before coming to the arts world, I was supposed to be a lawyer. It's also a very disciplined world, and I wanted to create my realities. I enrolled in singing classes, theater classes until going to art school. And surprisingly, I saw that I needed to be a disciplined person, to have a routine and develop some consistency in my creations to achieve better results. So I know we must be disciplined in art world too. Not follow too many rules and protocols, but yeah, we must have discipline.
Well, as a graphic designer, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When you're doing graphic designs, you have to have a roadmap. You have to be disciplined and you have to be organized to get it done. So as a graphic designer, as well as a writer, you have to have those skills, or at least try to practice the skills.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to produce a video, to produce a graphic piece, it takes time. I don't do it so quickly, and I must follow a certain routine and follow some rules before showing my work to the world. One of my most recent works is this. He's made from recycled paper, and it's taking more than 2 months to get it done. So it's not so easy.
You did it. You did it. You accomplished it. Yes, you did it. And
So
that's the success, is that you did it.
yeah, and it's the best feeling when I finish a work. It's the best feeling ever. It means I made the right thing. I feel great. I would ask you about a bit more about your transition to creative writing. Moving from military reports to creative writing is quite the transition. We talked a lot about it. What inspired you to enroll in a college creative writing class, and how has this experience influenced?
I had written a play in 1972 that was produced on stage in Tacoma, Washington. I was in college. The Army had sent me to college to finish my degree. And I was in a creative writing class in college, as I forget the term. It wasn't a required course, but there's another term for a course that you could take. And so in the creative writing class, my instructor went through the process of writing, how to build tension, to the art, the craft of writing. And one weekend, I got the bug to write a play. And so a Saturday and a Sunday, I wrote a play, a 2-act farce, and I brought it to my creative writing instructor. And she said, you need to take your play to the theater director. And she called and made an appointment. And I did, and the theater director asked me to sit next to his desk while he read the play. And the thrilling part for me was that he laughed in all of the right places in the play. And he said, we will use your play to open the 1972 theater season. And so I really got the bug then to write more, and I wrote a novel, a little manual typewriter, and I shopped the book to about 112 agents and publishers, and I got all rejection letters. And so I put the book away, and the career and family took precedents. And in 1976, I wrote a newspaper article of satire that was published in 24 Army newspapers. And I have only one column of that satire remaining. I have only one column, and I posted it on the blog so my readers could see. And so when Richard found the reports and I began elaborating and answering the questions, and I called them war stories, I didn't know what to do with them. And so that prompted me to enroll in the creative writing class. I wanted to write the stories about my experience, about many of the people that I had served with, about a lot of different things that had happened in our lives. And so that's why I went to the creative writing class. It was a community college, yeah.
So, first of all, I grew up in the 90s to 90s, so typewriters were out of fashion when I was young, but I always loved to see. I think they are so cool. When you said you wrote in a manual typewriter, I'm curious to have one, but just for curiosity, of course, nowadays we have computers and tablets and all the technology we can. But I must say my favorite means of writing are pen, pencil, and paper.
I must tell you, on my little portable typewriter, I used carbon paper for a copy. There were no copy machines in 1970, and I had to use carbon paper to keep a copy of what I had typed. And there was no way to correct errors except for a pencil or white paint. And that's how I corrected errors that I made. And I made a lot of errors typing my book. And I must tell you, on a manual typewriter, my book had 102,000 words. And that was a lot of typing on a manual typewriter.
Oh, I see. Other times, I didn't know that we didn't have copy machines. This information is kind of new to me, but yeah, I can see it was a bit harder to type a book in the 1970s.
A lot of work. And now with the computer, and copy and printers, it's very easy.
And sometimes we get angry just because we forgot to save, but it's nothing.
Yeah, that happens too, yeah.
Well, can you share a little about your PowerPoint presentation, the content and impact of the free 35-minute PowerPoint show you offer about your experiences and writing?
I go to senior communities, I go to schools, I go to associations and clubs, and my PowerPoint show takes me from the beginning of the military career through the reports and the transition to writing the stories in the writing class. And then I conclude the PowerPoint show by demonstrating my 9 books and talking about my 9 books. And then I talk with the attendees about their goal of writing their stories. And I speak with teens to seniors. Teens are those in middle school and junior high school and high school. The clubs and organizations are different kinds of clubs here in the States. Rotary Club, Lions Club. I also do book clubs, and I talk to veterans groups as well. And the most enjoyable for me is the senior communities, where the residents of the senior communities are already in their 60s and 70s, and they are interested in writing their stories, and I hope to inspire them with my presentation and with my, if I can use the word, with my success of publishing 9 books.
I'm sure. Well, I do some volunteering with children, but it's nothing compared to to this beautiful work. And I always try to inspire the youngest generations to always do the good things, to follow the good values. I don't know about you, but I think this world has so many to the youngest people, like the social media and the bad examples. And I always try to inspire them to follow the right way. And when I see children grateful for the values I taught them, I feel grateful, and I feel really blessed to hear their words. Imagine when you hear 60s and 70s people, they are in the age of my parents, so I can imagine.
Well, I think it's very, very well done that you talk to young people, because they need to hear other viewpoints from adults rather than just their parents. And so when you talk with them to give them motivation and inspiration, you're giving them a different part of life. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I think so too. I always try to inspire them, and I want to keep doing this for many and many years.
I must tell you that at some of the book signings that I have done, I think 12, I think is the right number. Over the years, 12 people have joined my writing group because they wanted to write, but they didn't know how to get started. So joining a group is very helpful for someone to get started on their project of writing their story. And so over the years, and I'm going to say 8 or 9 years of doing book signings, about 12 people have joined my writing group. And 8 of those people are still in the writing group, and they publish books.
You answered the question I would ask you.
That is inspiring, isn't it?
Yeah, it's truly inspiring. I would ask an advice for aspiring writers, and yeah, I think join a group is essential. Well, even in my podcast life, I had a little problem with another guest, and I went to the community. They were so kind to me. We share many thoughts and things. I think it's great to join a group of like-minded people.
Well, when you do your graphic design, I would believe that you have a group of graphic designers that
I have
communicate with each other, whether it's skill, whether it's technique, whether it's idea. Working with a group as a writer is very, very, very beneficial, because some writers try to sit alone and do the work, and it's very difficult to do. And so joining a writers group offers both discipline and deadlines.
Actually, one of my guests, he's also a graphic designer and illustrator. I have received some other graphic designs in this corner. Well, we are very like-minded and very supportive. I love to talk to them, share my work, and share my thoughts. It's a great process of learning and teaching, because it's not closed. I think knowledge is not closed. We are always learning. I heard this from a 100-year-old man. The secret for a long life is always learning. I love this. I like to keep this learn process steady and infinite. Share my knowledge and learn new things from other graphic designers. It's the beauty of the thing. Well, let's talk about your upcoming work. As you work on your 10th book, can you give us a sneak peek into what readers can expect from this upcoming work?
Yes, I write about a little town that is called Palomino. Palomino is a little rural Texas town, and I began Palomino in the summer of 1943 during World War II. And Palomino is based on the town that I grew up in during the war. And the second book of the Palomino series is entitled Porky Bacon. Palomino, there's 3 German prisoners of war who come to live and work in Palomino during the war. And that's false. No German prisoner of war ever lived in town, but my 3 do, under guard, and they get caught up in small Texas town goings on. And then Porky Bacon was the second in the series. Porky is a 14-year-old, and he meets a celebrity movie star. In America, this movie star's name was Gene Autry, and I would believe that many in Brazil may have seen Gene Autry's movies and Roy Rogers' movies during the 40s and 50s and 60s. And so Porky meets Gene. He's a very influential friend with Gene as part of the story. And Porky, as a kid, discovers a lot of dark goings on in Palomino. And the third book in the series is The Redeemer, Dr. Pearlie Gates. Dr. Gates was convicted of murdering 2 patients, sentenced to life, served 10 years, was exonerated, got his medical license reinstated, and came to work at the Palomino Hospital. And the 4th book in the series is Lucinda Jones, a spunky 22-year-old redhead who comes to work for 2 weeks at the Palomino Press, waiting to go to college to finish her journalism degree. But Lucinda in Palomino, and then she's faced with the decision of whether to go to college or stay in Palomino and continue at the Palomino Press with her love. And the 5th book in the series is Palomino denouement. Denouement is the French word for final chapter. And so the 10th book is the final chapter in the Palomino series. And in the States, many, many small towns that were popular in the 50s and even in the 60s began to die away because of big box stores. Big box stores in America are Walmart, drugstores or Walgreens. Stores like Amazon, big box stores, Sam's Club, put the little stores out of business. People would go to a grocery store for a lot better selection and a little bit less price. And so the small towns began to die away. And that is what has happened to Palomino. And the character that brings the story to the final chapter is Captain Grady Allen. And Captain Grady Allen appears in the 9th book, which is Rigors of Revenge, as a retired colonel who had harbored revenge for 50 years. And so I tie Grady Allen in the 9th book back to Palomino in 1968.
You talk about movie stars from 1940s, 1950s. I must say I'm a fan of classic Hollywood movies, and I'll look for them. I'll do a search for these movies. They are my favorite ones. It's a pleasure to watch movies from 1950s. I really enjoy to watch this, and even older movies like movies from the 20s, the silent movies. Watching, it's my passion for you. And I wait for your book. Maybe I'll feel
Leah, if you go on the internet and type in Gene Autry, you will see the character, Gene Autry, and you will see some of his movies. Yeah. Anyway, Gene plays an important role in Porky Bacon's story.
I'll look for it. So, and now the last question before our lightning round. What would you say to people who believe that achieving significant milestones is only for the young? And that's, before you answer, you asked me to explain the digital uninfluencer thing. Well, I started on social media world when I was 19 years old. And back that time, digital influencing world didn't exist yet. And I wanted to I just wanted to show my life to people, not selling the idea of a perfect life. I heard from some relatives, they didn't want to be me, and I'm not a good example to them. I don't know why, but okay. And I thought, now I have many followers on Twitter, I have followers on Instagram, I have many listeners on my podcast. I don't want them to be me. I want to teach my values, to teach good things in life instead of selling some useless things or a lifestyle that sell a wrong idea of happiness. I don't want to show them this fantastic world. That's a lie, in my opinion. I like to share the good ideas, to always try to do the good things and be kind to people. That's why I call myself an influencer. I don't want to sell.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. And by being the uninfluencer, you are the influencer.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So, and I also heard some bad comments when I was achieving the milestones of 30 years old. I heard from some people, you are getting old, and I didn't feel old at all. Well, I started so many good things after my fix that, well, I don't feel old.
That's a good story. That's a good story.
Now let's go to the lightning round. I will ask you quick questions, but the answers are not necessarily quick. You have the time to answer whatever you want.
Okay.
The first question, what's your favorite book of all time?
I get that question a lot at book signings because I have 9 books. And here's the way I answer the question. Palomino is my favorite because of the German prisoners of war living in town. Porky Bacon is my favorite because he's a 14-year-old. The Redeemer is my favorite because the Redeemer, Dr. Pearlie Gates, has a mysterious power to save lives he doesn't understand. Lucinda Jones is my favorite because she's a spunky 22-year-old redhead. You see how I get out of that question? I don't have a favorite. They're all my favorite.
Yeah, it's like asking me, who is your favorite guest, and what's your favorite music? I don't have a single answer. And now, if you ask me what's your favorite episode in this podcast, I will say the number 1, because I had to give the first step.
The number one is Prompts 2.
Yeah.
Prompts 2 is another collection of short stories. Prompts was the first. Prompts 2 was the second. Cookie Johnson was the third, and I wrote stories based on prompts. And I wrote Cookie Johnson based on a prompt. And the prompt was 2 people bump into each other. That is called a meet cute prompt. I don't know if you've seen the movie Harry Met Sally, but that is called a meet cute movie. And my meet cute prompt for Cookie Johnson is he has been injured in an explosion and is laying naked on a hospital bed. And his nurse, Lieutenant Katie Patton, comes into the room and stumbles and reaches out to brace herself and grasps part of Cookie's body. And you have to use your imagination what she grasped. And that is the meet cute moment.
It's a great favorite story. And yeah, the number 1, number 2, number 3, they are the best because we must give the first step towards.
Where we get started, but they are all my favorite. I really enjoy reading what I write after the book is published. I pick the book up like I've never read it before, and I read the story, and I enjoy what I did. And that's what you do when you make a graphic design. You're happy with what you did. You did something special.
I have many great works I made, and sometimes I always revisit them to see what I did. So the next question, if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
Historical figure. I think Walt Disney might be the historical figure, historical person I would have lunch with, dinner with.
I watched the. Yeah, I watched
Disney
his.
did a great service for humanity, bringing, for me, Mickey Mouse was the first that I remember. And I enjoyed Mickey Mouse cartoons. I enjoyed the comic books whenever I was a kid. And my wife and I took our sons to Disneyland one time. So I think I would like to have dinner with Walt Disney and pick his brain about why he created the characters he did.
My favorite Disney character is Donald Duck. I love Donald Duck cartoons, and if I see them on TV or YouTube, I stop to watch. Oh, it's really great. Okay, what's the most memorable place you've ever visited?
Paris, France. Is that the location you asked? The most memorable?
Yeah, the
Paris,
most memorable.
France. And the reason is that I met my wife in Paris.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can.
And we've been married 64 years.
Wow, congrats. And what's your way of showing up for yourself every single day?
My routine is to get up. I like to get up out of bed. One of these days I may not be able to, but I get up, I have coffee, I have a little breakfast. I talk with my wife over breakfast. Then I go to my emails. Then I do errands. My wife and I, at our age, are very, very popular with doctors. Many doctors want to see us every week. And so we have a lot of appointments that we have to take care of. So that's sort of, a weekly or monthly routine.
Oh, yeah. And what's your favorite piece of advice to give to aspiring writers?
Do it right. I've heard the expression writer's block. There is no such thing as writer's block. If you're sitting at your typewriter or your computer, or you have a pencil or pen in hand, you can write. It may not be writing your story or writing your book, but you can write the sentence. The brown fox jumped over the red fence every day. That is writing, and you don't have writer's block. And once you start that discipline about writing something, then your project will blossom and come back to you, and you'll continue writing your story. So my suggestion, my advice is to write.
Great advice. I had a creative block and I was feeling, oh no, but I must explain, it was the pandemic and I was feeling a bit scared at that lockdowns, and I was empty of ideas. I couldn't create anything. I was feeling blocked. And when everything returned to the normal, the new normal, the creative juice started flowing again.
Yes. And that doing graphic work, doing illustrations, doing painting is the same as writing. You may not have the creative juice to do the paint that you want to do, but if you take a brush and paint and mark it on a canvas, that is painting. And what your project will do is come back to you.
That's a great advice. And now the last question. What are 3 unique skills that helped you become successful?
I'm not sure I'm successful.
Okay.
If my books were made into 47 movies and 12 television series, I might be successful. But now I'm comfortable. Having written 9 books, working on number 10, I'm comfortable.
Oh, and that's amazing. Well, before we go, that's the end of the lightning round. I will do a small recap. Today, we had the privilege of speaking with you, and you had an incredible military service story too, and you shared your journey as an author and mentor. Your stories and insights have been truly inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing your time and wisdom with us.
Thank you, Leah. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. It was very enjoyable to visit with you. Thank you very much.
And the last question I always ask to my first-time guests. DKLA stores are always open to you. Would you come back one day if you could?
I will, and I'll talk more
Great.
about the books when we come back.
Thank you so much for joining this podcast today. I must confess, I was a bit anxious because I don't have grandparents anymore and I truly miss them. And I adopt every people of your age as my grandparents. So you are a DKLA grandfather.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you so much.
I will wait till you close the chat, close the video.
Okay, here.
Okay.
Here you are.
Bye-bye. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Tim, thank you for your words, for your service, for the way you show up in this world